I introduce my chief guest, our Honorable Founding Vice Chancellor, Shri Raj Nehru, sir. Sir, we welcome you. You are the youngest Vice Chancellor in our country. Shri Vishwakarma Skill University, Government of Haryana. I think it is the first skill university in India and sixth in world. Shri Raj Nehru sir is also Mission Director of Haryana Skill Development Mission. He is also Director of State Electronic Development Corporation, and he is member to National Education Policy 2020 also. He was with the Indian Army initially, moved to corporate sector. He is having a very good experience. He has contributed a lot in pharma sector, IT, ITS, manufacturing, automobile engineering, and energy. He was Director Leadership Development in IBM for more than a decade. He has visited Philippines, China, Europe, and US for his various projects. Sir, you are really, it's our privilege, you are very relevant for our this session. Under your able leadership, Shri Vishwakarma Skill University is pioneering in dual education industry integrated model. And the mission of your university is focusing on quality of skill education aspired by students, admired by industry, nationally and internationally. Uh, Actually, sir, we have to listen a lot from you and we have to take your inputs. I request you to kindly guide regarding this topic, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tanveer Mirza ji, for giving this elaborate introduction. And thank you, the policy team, Mr. Akram, for giving me this opportunity coming on the stage, along with my fellow panelists today on this program, Mr. Khan and Mr. Mufti, who are also going to speak today on this subject. And it was pleasure listening to Mrs. Ghosh, who brought a very valuable point, especially when it comes to skilling, because my personal thinking based on my experience in the last couple of years has been that one of the biggest shortcomings that when we see our youngsters, they graduate to schools, colleges, and then to the employment market, the shortcomings which prevent them from blossoming in the entrepreneurial side, developing their own startups, or bringing out innovations, or bringing out some new thinking. What I felt is that the curiosity is one of the area which is has been lacking for most of the times when I see people. Logical thinking and problem solving, the appreciation for nature and our human relationship with the nature, that appreciation somewhere was lacking in the education. How to create and build and leverage teamwork and collaboration, and appreciate diversity and inclusivity was also missing somewhere in the education. That was reflecting when I used to see youngsters coming for interviews and then getting settled down in the organization, and how much of challenge they would experience in the organizations to really settle down in wake of these qualities, which Mrs. Ghosh also brought out, and I am also thinking. And at the end, integrity and ethics. So somewhere, I think our old education model, which was largely based on that 10 plus 2 plus 3 structure, was somewhere not focusing on the fundamentals which was required to be inculcated right at the childhood level. But the new education model and the structure, which is now being proposed in the new education policy, that's about the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 model, where you have foundational stage, then preparatory stage, and middle stage, and the secondary stage. These the way this has been bifurcated, I feel that this is going to address a lot many issues and challenges that we have been facing, because it has a specific focus on multi-level play-based activities to be introduced at the foundational levels, then developing the sense of discovery and sense of interactiveness inside the classroom, and then taking into experiential experiential learning at the middle stage level that we have seen in the new education policy. So I think today, where the math is seen a burden, the science is seen a burden, when at the middle stages of a child, which is normally at 11 or 12 years of age, the applied mathematics, the experiential learning in science and in other areas is introduced, I think it will create that sense of appreciation for applied thinking, application-based work, vocations that we today find many of our youngsters as a challenge. So my first thought is that the new ECCE model in education, that is elementary child care education, this is going to be a revolutionary part, which is going to make a lot of changes and differences. And this will trigger innovation in the coming days. See, we have seen India, where innovation is not new to India. If you look at the current R&D scenario in India, I have been traveling all around the world. In last 8-10 years in India, we have seen almost a huge spurt of growth of R&D centers in India. And these are the multinational companies who have opened their R&D centers in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Pune, Kolkata, Delhi, Gurgaon, and more than 800 such centers have opened in India. You know why these have opened up in India? Because they have seen, and Indians have a proven track record of their contribution in the R&D centers at Silicon Valley and other countries where these MNCs have their own R&D centers, and they have seen the proven qualities of innovation and innovativeness among the Indians. And now, because they can't carry all the Indians to their countries, so they have now slowly started migrating these R&D centers to India. And as for the data, I know more than 4.5 lakh Indians are today working in these R&D centers in India. And believe me, they are not working on the local product development. They are in fact working on the global product developments. And I found one of the reports mentioning that the forward citations of the patents being filed from the India-based R&D centers of these MNCs is comparatively as good as the forward citations of the patents filed from their parent organizations in other countries. So the Indian mindset of innovation is there, but we have not been able to leverage and exercise it in full. So I think with the new education model that's going to come in with the new education policy, I think that's going to trigger that. But we will see the outcomes of this not immediately, but maybe another 5-10 years will take us to get the desired results. The second thing I think is the most important part, which is going to help us to really scale up and strengthen our ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurship, is the leveraging technology. I think in the current phase, we see a lot of technologies like IoT and blockchain and artificial intelligence, cloud, data analytics. So if you look, the way today now the businesses are shaping up, especially the post-COVID era, where most of the companies are sending their queries to India, they are withdrawing from China, and they are putting up the queries for various products and services from India. One important thing that challenge that India, from a self-reliant point, Atmanirbhar Bharat point, would have to handle is to make the production system of a world-class quality. And if we have to compete on the world-class quality, we have to create products of a world-class quality, we will have to plug in the technologies. For example, IoT and artificial intelligence, if it is plugged together, it can help in creating the best of the products by making sure that the quality controls, the reduction in downtime, the predictive failures are taken care. And also at the same time, by introducing these technologies, the safety and experience of employees is also maintained, which will eventually enhance the the productivity of the organization. So similarly, the technologies like blockchain can be revolutionary. In fact, most of the issues today that India is facing because of the conventional methods and techniques being used, blockchain can be one of the biggest areas of transformation. And blockchain can actually help various youths and youngsters to create solutions where today institutions can leverage that. For example, in if you look at educational institutions today, most of the educational institutions today do not use blockchain because of the either the financial reasons, budgetary reasons, or not being aware of it. But today, when we look at blockchain, you can find out how certification process, assessments, credit system can be actually leveraged and streamlined and synthesized by bringing in the new technologies that can help the organizations to be more fruitful. And one important thing that I find today where we are having a big challenge is that you see our employment market. If you today see almost 85 to 90% of the employment market is full of unorganized and informal sector. And by the data, if we go by, almost 60 to 70% of the workforce in these sectors is secondary education or below, which means that today we have a huge scope to really align this informal workforce to the education. Because as we heard earlier also, that unless we innovate, unless we create new things, and unless we create opportunities of inclusion for the segments who have been left out, we will not be able to really harness that economic progress in the country at a high speed. So to me, for example, today, if in the country we see our GER, it is at the higher education, it is at 26, 27%. Now, which means almost, if at the age of 18 to 23, we have 140 million people in this age group, 27% means only 37 million people enrolled in the higher education. That means almost 103 million are not enrolled in higher education. That means they are entering into the labor market with not so good skills, with not so good qualifications. And eventually they continue to stay in that job market for ages, and they get exploited by the employers. And they are also not very productive in the long run because they don't learn new ways of doing certain things. So to me, I think one of the biggest areas that today the country can actually explore is how the recognition of prior learning in higher education is made available as an opportunity where youngsters who have entered into the labor market through formal or these non-formal methods, they are given opportunities where their previous experiences can be recognized in a formal process, creditized, and then allowed to move up on the educational ladder. And through that, not only it will help us the social inclusion, it will also help us to upskill these youngsters and make them more productive. They can earn a sustainable livelihood for a longer duration of time. So I think the recognition of prior learning in higher education, it can not only improve the GR in the country, which the country has also kept as a target by 2035. It can also stimulate sustainable livelihood, employability, and also enhance the morale and the self-esteem of the individuals who have been left out from the mainstream education and skilling, and give them another opportunity of going up on the value chain. The last two things that I want to emphasize is, I think the apprenticeship is something that this nation needs to structure well. We have a national apprenticeship program promotion scheme, and this scheme is requiring employers to participate and encourage our youngsters to come and do apprenticeship at the work sites. But unfortunately, we have not seen a significant move in this segment. So apprenticeship is one area that actually helps youngsters to get aligned with the value system, technology, new learning culture, and new learning methods right at the site of the employer. And thereby, it actually enhances their skill sets. And once they learn new things at the workplace, they actually become the ideal and potential candidates either to work directly on the job for the employer, or they can start their own, own ventures, own small startups, own small enterprises, because the experience that they would have earned through the apprenticeship-based programs would have made their mindset even better in terms of in new ways of doing certain businesses. So I think that's where the opportunity lies for us. The last thing is that the industry participation. I think you talked about the dual education industry integrated model that Sri Vishwakarma Skill University has brought in. And in this dual education model, what we do is we have partnered with industry where alternate semesters of a program, for example, we are running a 3-year degree program. The alternate semesters of the program are being handled by the industry, which means that in a 3-year degree program, a candidate has to spend 18 months in the industry and 18 months in the classroom. Now, this blended learning between apprenticeship and the classroom is actually making the candidate not only job ready, but also inculcating an entrepreneurial thinking that why not I do my own business by the time I finish this education, because the learnings are far higher and superior, because he gets support from the teachers as well to connect with the concepts and theories with the real-time work at the workplace. And in this model, what is more important and lacking that I have seen is that the teachers' participation, their learning to the new methods. Unfortunately, we are getting today teachers from the old conventional method, because we have always been running the old methods of teaching and studying. So when they join the new jobs, especially the skill-based pedagogical interventions are still not very strong with them. So that is an area where institutions will have to invest and make teachers also capable, so that they can connect what today industry is expecting, and through that new teaching methods, they are able to make the students even more aligned to the demands of the work environment. And I think if all these aspects are taken together, we can see that we will be able to make our youngsters more scalable, more sustainable, and in the coming days we can give them empower them to make choices, whether they want to go inside the industry and work, or they want to go and start their own opportunities. And last, what institutions need to do, there are huge number of schemes and opportunities that the government has created in almost every segment. The challenge I have also seen, because when we teach students, that awareness is lacking among most of them. They are not familiar with the kind of schemes and opportunities that are provided by the government. So somewhere the connect has to be made between these youngsters and their awareness about what is available today in the market, which they can leverage once they get skilled through a process, and become more productive for the enterprise, for the organization they create, or for the nation that we have created. So that's it, what I would want to share in nutshell, in brief, because in 10 minutes this is what I think comes to my mind. And I'm sure this workshop that you have organized, program that you have organized, will open new ideas and new thoughts for many people to explore new ways that will help our youngsters to become more productive, and encourage them to start their own work and be entrepreneurs of new age. Thank you very much.